All right, welcome back again. So in the last video, we did all of the core of this app, and it really wasn't that much code. It was using the Angular Fire database. It's like you can see it all on the screen, right? Using the Angular Fire database to make a connection to a certain path in the database. That gave us a stream, and so that stream, it assumes that there's repeated elements at this location. So that's like part of the setup. So there's going to be some repeated elements at this location. And as it fetches them, it's going to fire events off as it's getting them. So if it's got 2, it's going to fire. It's got 3 more, it's going to fire with 5. As soon as it's got 3 more, it's going to fire with 8. And in our app, pretty quickly it gets all of the data, right? But it fires every time. And then what's happening is over in HTML, this pipe async says, hey, whenever it fires, give me that array. So this right here, if I were to put it in parentheses, this is an array, right? Because this is what the stream fires. It fires off arrays every time it fires. And then one of the tricks we can do is we can also push new data in there, which auto-generated the key. That was all pretty fantastic. The only thing I miss is I want this on top now, right? And you can see it showing up on bottom. So we need some way to make that be on top. There's a couple ways that we could get that on top. One way we could do it is, right now we don't have access to the array in JavaScript, which is crazy, right? There's no access to it. The only place there's access to the array is in here. So we could subscribe to the stream in the TypeScript, and we'll do that later in the class, and then manually flip the list, right? That's one way we can do it. But we're going to show you a different way to do it. And the way that we're going to do it is, since we've got the array in HTML, how can we add code to HTML to make the display be different? And there's actually a tool for that in Angular. It's called a pipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this array and we're going to pipe it to something. So we're already piping it to async, which means says, hey, take this stream and do something with it to give me something different. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a pipe called reverse. So what this does is this takes our array and it's going to send it over to the reverse pipe. And reverse pipe, as you can guess, reverse is going to take an array and reverse it. That's all reverse is going to do. So how do we make this reverse pipe? So what we're going to do is we're going to learn more about the Angular CLI. So if we want to, we can go over to the Angular CLI setup. Looks like it was not in my bookmarks yet. Perhaps I'll want to do that. So the Angular CLI, go over to GitHub. The Angular CLI has a lot of good information in it, but probably the most important is usage and updating the Angular CLI. I'm going to make a bookmark actually to updating the Angular CLI, because you will want to, if you're trying to stay on the cutting edge, update your CLI, I don't know, every so often. Like, it used to update every 2 weeks. I'm going to go ahead and add a bookmark to this, and I'm going to put it into my ng fire, and I'm just going to call it CLI update, because that's really the link that I'll probably need the most. Now, in this particular time, update isn't really the one I want. It's usage, right? So for usage, you can see that this is how you create a new project. We've done that. This is how you serve it. We've already done that. By the way, this host 0000, this makes it visible to other people in your network. So for example, if you wanted your phone to show the app, you could just put that, and you'd have to put in the IP address of your computer. Fun trick there. You can change the port in case you want to have 2 running at the same time. You can change the port. Really don't care about those. This is the area we care about. Generating components, directives, pipes, and services. So right now, we've only ever used one component in this app, or in this class. We're going to eventually use many components. That will come. You can put components into individual directories if you want, which is great. You can make directives, which are like components that have no HTML. We're not going to really do much with that. You can also make pipes and services, and then also guards, which is kind of a neat thing. That one's new. I'm going to have to use that later. Pipe is what we care about. So let's go ahead and make a pipe. So let's go into our app here. We've got it serving in one location, but I'm in the same spot. I'm going to say, and so this is the spot where I did my npm install just a moment earlier, or a couple of videos earlier. And I'm going to say ngg. So you can see ng is for the Angular CLI. G is shorthand for generate. and then you say what it is you're going to generate. So here I'm saying pipe, so you can say all these other things too. And the pipe that I'm going to generate is I'm going to create a pipe called the reverse pipe. And I'm going to hit enter. And you can see that it created some stuff for me. So it created a source app reverse pipe spec file. Can't wait to delete that. And then it created the actual TypeScript. And then it also updated my app module for me. So let's go see what it did. So first off, I can see it right here. And then there's my spec file, right? So goodbye. So here's the code that it wrote for me. It put it into the highest folder. It put it right into the app folder. Normally when you have a big project, you need to be more organized. So you'd make like a folder called pipes and you'd put it in there. But putting it right into the app folder is perfect for this one. You can see that it auto-typed some code for me, which is fun. It also said that it modified my app component. That was me typing. That wasn't what it did. It modified the app module. And all it did is it added it to the declarations. So now reverse pipe is another thing we can use, which is great. And then it also typed all this code for me. When it comes to typing code, obviously you could type this code. And in fact, one of your snippets can type code like this for you too. So if you type a-pipe, you can see that it also can type this little placeholder code, right? It's not really a big deal that it typed the code for you. It's not magic. You could just type it. But here's what it does. This is a function which is going to receive one thing. It's going to receive like an arg. Admittedly, that one thing could be an array or an object, but it's still one thing. And then it's going to output that thing in some other form. And usually what they output is they output like arrays or strings, but it defaults to any, and that's actually fine. So it receives an any, it passes out an any. I guess there is also a way you could pass arguments into it, but we're not going to do that in this class. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to check if value is not null. Another way to do that is to actually just say if value. I like to do if value because then you also get like if it's undefined, that would count as false. So it's also just more concise. So if it's defined, then what we're going to do is we're going to return value dot reverse. So reverse is a function that you can call on an array. So this is fine. This check, by the way, is important because the stream fires once with null, and if it fires once with null and you call .reverse on it, it would crash your app, right? So we're going to check to make sure it exists, which is just to pick off that initial null. Assuming it does exist, we're going to reverse it. We're also going to do one more thing, just to be careful, and that is we're going to say .slice. .slice is a JavaScript old school function. It means to make a copy of the array. The reason I like to do this is because I want to make sure that my operation is idempotent, which means that you could call it, you could call it again, you could call it again, you could call it again, and it doesn't have any like effect on the next call, and it's a safe thing to do. If you only reversed, then you would take the array and you would reverse it, and that could cause problems if the array is being built up in chunks. So imagine you've got 3 elements and you reverse them, and then 2 more get added, and then that whole thing gets reversed. It gets kind of messed up. So you just say .slice to make sure it's idempotent. It's best practice, even if it's not necessary, and sometimes it's necessary. So there's our reverse pipe, and it should work, right? So we should just have it on top. So probably if I go back over here, you can see that it just says I want this on top now, and you can see it's working. So I'm going to call this one very latest quote from the super new awesome movie. And I just want to make sure it shows up on top. Boom, very latest quote, new super awesome movie. I got a lot of fodder in here to delete. I'm going to give myself at least one good quote, just because it's bothered me that they're all just garbage. So I'm going to grab the Princess Bride quote here, just for giggles. And it's, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. There you go. Now I've got one like genuine quote in there. All right, so keeping this video short, just wanted to show you the pipe. I suppose we ought to get it checked in here. There was a change to the HTML where I added pipe reverse. There was a change to the app module where I brought in the reverse pipe. And again, the way to think about app module, it's kind of like the place where you load things up. Like, here are the things that I have access to in this app. So this is what really like makes it available in the HTML to use. And then here's the code that actually implements it, which is really just a single line plus a check to make sure that it's not null at the time. So this is the reverse pipe. And I could say more, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say reverse pipe and ship that one off. All right, the app is going good. The thing that I'd like to do next is I want to delete some of these ridiculous quotes, and I also want to be able to edit things. Come back next time and we'll tackle those tasks. See you then. Bye.
you.